All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Bea Koch from the Ripped Bodice, and I'm so excited to be here with Gabriela and Jené from Bésame to talk about makeup and fashion and romance novels, and specifically Stardust by Emma Barry and Genevieve Turner. Should we just jump into the book?
Yay. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad you're joining us. Please say hello in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. My name's Jené, and I will be doing a makeup tutorial today based on the main character from the book Stardust, as was chosen by you guys. We asked for you to vote, and many of you responded with lots of enthusiasm, and we got a lot of great votes in, and Stardust was the winner. In the future, maybe we'll do another one and we can pick something else that's completely different look in the future, so look out for that. But this is so exciting because this book, as we'll talk about more, especially Bea and Gabriela will give a little more insight, but this book is set in the 60s, so we'll be doing a 60s inspired look, and we'll get into more of what that is going to be, and I'll be the one putting it on my face. And please feel free to follow along at home, get out your makeup kits, get yourself all set up, and we'll do this together, and it's going to be lots of fun.
All right.
Yeah, exciting. So let's talk a little bit more about this character, Anne-Marie, the main character of Stardust. Who is she and what's going on in her world? Bea, would you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Let me give a quick synopsis of Stardust, which is set in Houston in 1962, which is right at the heart of the space age, and we are really seeing the beginning of man on the moon. So exciting.
So cool.
And Anne-Marie is a mother of two who sadly finds out that her husband has cheated on her and decides to leave him. And then we get to see her find a hot new neighbor and start up a friendship and then a romance with him. And in that, we get kind of a look into the lives of astronauts and their partners in the early 60s as the space program is just kind of taking off.
That is so fascinating and so interesting. And like, what a great concept for a book. That's just so interesting to think about what that would have been like, or even just what life would have been like in 1962 in Houston, Texas, of all places. You know, there was so much going on during that time. Like, the nation was completely changing in so many different ways. And I feel like makeup and fashion were also trying new things and kind of moving, maybe not so much in Texas first. We probably saw it in the biggest cities, and then it sort of moved to the rest of the US. Would you agree with that? Would you ladies agree with that?
What's different about what they're talking about in this book particularly is because they're astronauts and their wives. So it's a group of astronauts, and one of the main characters happens to be the neighbor of Anne-Marie. But then there's a whole group of them, and of course their wives, and their wives, because of them being in the public kind of limelight, get exposure all the time. So there's crews of, TV reporters and photographers that are always around. So they kind of set the style for other women to follow, because at the time they were kind of celebrities. These the wives of the astronauts, because the space program was so important. They were heroic characters, these men, because they were trying to get there before the Soviets, and it was imperative that the Americans got there before the Soviets to conquer space. So they were the men that were daring enough to do this, and had the the courage, and that they were seen as like Superman almost. And their wives played a role in that as well, because they had to be perfect kind of role models for other wives. So they had to be the perfect wives. So their style definitely inspired other women. So no matter where they lived, they were followed around by the press. So they knew, what kind of china they used in their house, and what they were cooking for dinner, and all of these things. And so they do a lot of that in the book, where they're obsessed about planning parties and planning dinners, and everything had to be exactly perfect, and the exact amount of meat and the exact amount of hors d'oeuvre, and and side dish, and this. So they were very much women that had to be in control of a lot of situations, because of the fact that they were looked at, under a microscope and that. So it's very interesting. And the main character, of course, being kind of an outsider to this, because she is, number one, divorced. During this period of time, was kind of a taboo type of thing to be divorced, and especially with kids. Women would not choose to leave their husbands when they already had children, and kind of were dependent on the man to be the breadwinner. So it was very unlikely for a woman to choose to leave her husband. So the fact that she was divorced and was kind of starting over on her own was very unusual as well. But the looks were kind of interesting too. Oh, go ahead, Bea.
Well, I think you can see Anne-Marie worry about that a little bit. She's worried that she's not good enough for her love interest.
Yeah, sure.
Because of the divorce, and she's worried how that's going to affect his career. And I think she kind of tries to mitigate that by the way she dresses, and trying to dress a little more conservatively, and make sure that she presents herself perfectly, so that at least they can't attack the way she looks. Even if they can point out that she's been divorced and has 2 kids from a previous marriage.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. So I think the looks probably that they were using, as far as the women portrayed in this, were definitely more kind of subdued. They wouldn't have been very kind of heavy, bright makeup. They would probably be more kind of Jackie Kennedy looking style. So very proper and prim, and put together, and pretty makeup with like rose tones and blues and that for shadows and this, and but soft, nothing too garish, but on the softer side. I think that's probably the colors that you would see these type of ladies wear. So softer pinks and roses on the lips were probably more common for these types of ladies to wear.
I think in the 60s, there's always that question, are you a Jackie or a Marilyn?
Yes.
The astronaut's wives certainly would have gone more towards the Jackie side of things.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Yes. The Marilyn would have been way too risque for somebody. So somebody in the public eye like this, that's supposed to be a role model for other women, usually would be more conservative, for sure.
So do you feel like our character Anne-Marie is more Jackie than Marilyn? Maybe she's presenting Jackie, but her inner self is a little more Marilyn, or she's Jackie all the way? What would you say?
I think her inner self is more Marilyn, and she's kind of like finding her way, how she's going to be herself, but also support the person she loves in their career as best she can, and what sacrifices she's willing to make.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the way she presents herself, which is, I think for a woman, like, and especially at that time, it's really a lot of what they had.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm going to pull out my book a little bit here so you can see a picture. This is kind of a look that you see, if you can see this look right here. this is kind of what I think. Can you see it? Or am I out of frame? There we go, right there. So this kind of look is what I'm thinking that a lot of them were sporting. So you see it had kind of the blues and colors and the shadows, kind of a rose lip, very traditional housewife type of look here.
I love that.
Um,
So let's
yeah.
do that. Let's do that look. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys a little bit about what I've already done to my face to get started. I've already put on my foundation, my concealer, and I did my brows. So foundation and concealer, if you're following this tutorial along from home, do whatever is best for you to match your skin tone and take care of the concerns that you may have. You may not really need foundation. You may not need concealer. You may just be blessed with beautiful skin. And so if so, you can forego that step. But if you'd like to, you can put on your concealer and foundation first. And then I also went ahead and did my brows already. And I just filled in my brows following the natural shape with a color that's a little bit lighter and warmer than the eyebrow hair that I have. I feel like brows in the 60s, early 60s, were very much natural. They were still shaped. They still had a bit of an arch shape, but you did kind of let them go, you know, when we think of the earlier 20th century, 20s, 30s, even real, especially 30s, brows were super thin and super arched. And then going into the 40s and then the 50s and then the 60s, we just let our brows get more and more natural looking, more full. And so in the 60s, they were arch shaped, but still very natural. So just follow the natural shape of your brow.
Show you a little bit more here.
Oh yeah, show us.
Let's see if I can get it on here. There we go. That's another 60s look.
Yeah. Awesome.
You can see this is brows that are a little lighter, but you can see other brows here as well that are a little bit more pronounced. If I can
What
it on the
eyeshadow?
screen. Yeah, the really blue right there.
Oh,
Yes.
so fun. So really fun. So something else that I did was that we know from the book, one of the things we know about Anne Marie is that she has freckles. She's a redhead with freckles. I don't naturally have freckles, but I love to pretend that I do, and I love to put them on with makeup. So that's what I did. It is pretty subtle, and so hopefully through our internet connection, you can tell that I've got freckles on, but they are not natural. They are done with makeup, and I love this technique. The best product to do this, if this is something you'd like to try, which I think everybody looks cute with freckles, and I think it's a totally fun thing to try. Maybe you've already got them, then you're one step ahead of us already. But if you want to put on some fake freckles and give it a try, the product I used is Bésame's Brown Cake. And so Brown Cake Mascara, if you're not familiar, if you're new here, that's okay. We'll tell you a little more about it. It just comes in a little tin, and it's a little cake like this. Mine's pretty well used because I've had it for a long time, and it lasts forever, which is awesome. You're going to add a little bit of water to it and mix it, and then using like a detail brush, such as this one, super small, tiny brush, I actually added a little more water than I normally would if I were using it for eyeliner or something like that. And keeping it nice and sheer, I just dotted natural looking freckle dots all over my face, right here, under the eyes, bridge of the nose, right where the sun would naturally hit your face. And so I just had fun with that, just going boop, 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 trying to make them not too big. And then I patted them down and then finished with a little bit of powder on top. And that's how I got my fake freckles to look more like Anne Marie is described in our book, to get that really authentic Anne Marie look going today. So that's what I've started with. So the next thing I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to jump into eyeshadow, which is super fun. So Gabriela, you've already told us a little bit about the fun colors that would have been popular during the time. We talked about roses, we talked about blues. So if I were Anne Marie and I was getting ready for my day, how might I be choosing my eyeshadow if there are so many options to choose from? Like, what would be kind of, let's get inside our character's head a little bit. What would be her process?
Well, at that time, matching your shadow to your outfit was really a popular thing to do. So if you had a green dress like she does in the book, she puts on this kind of silk, green silk, really body hugging dress. Um, she would have probably matched the shadow to that, so she would have probably used a green shadow
So
with
cute.
that. If she had a blue dress, she would have gone with a blue shadow. And same thing with a lilac or purple dress. It would have accompanied kind of a light purple or uh, maroon
Yeah.
shadows. So depending on the dress and then the outfit, they would have matched the shadow colors to it. But blue was a very popular shade to use, even if you even weren't wearing blue, especially the frostier shades
Mm,
of the colors. So frosty colors were very popular during the 60s. So you had a lot of frost shadows like, silvers and very light shimmery blues and baby blues that had a sheen to them. So a lot of frosty shades, even peach shades that had a lot of frost, were also popular. So
cute.
so all of those shades would have probably been used as a daytime shadow.
How stylish and fashionable. I really like that. Now, I feel like today wearing like bright colors to match your outfit seems kind of like a bold makeup choice, but would that have been so bold back then, or was that just sort of the norm for ladies?
I think it was a period where bolder shadow was an acceptable thing to wear. People wore a lot of shadow, but kind of kept the lip a little bit more nude. So the emphasis on the lip kind of went down, and the eyes took over kind of in the 60s. So you had a lot more lashes, false lashes, darker liners, with liquid liners coming in heavy, and false lashes as well. So a lot of a lot of emphasis on the eye, and then the lips were more on the nude side. So a lot of like peaches, roses, in lighter shades, even frost shades were really big in the 60s. So the lips were definitely more subdued, but the eyes were played up quite a bit. So it wasn't unusual to, like you saw on the pictures earlier, to have shadow that goes all the way up to the brow, with
Yeah.
the color, or having really really bright blues or greens, colors that are really poppy on the eye with very dark liner. This was kind of an acceptable look.
So fun. Well, then let's do that. Let's have fun and let's match. So it's perfect because I have the Bésame palette, the Club Babalu palette, which is from the Lucille Ball collection. So we've got colors in here that are both 50s and 60s, which I think is perfect for the era of, the year of 1962, which was
Hmm.
right there on the, you know, the early 60s, right? So some of the 50s colors and stuff maybe still had a holdover. So the colors in this palette are so fun, and we've got some great neutrals, and then we also have some great fun colors that you can really do a pop of color with.
Hmm.
So because I'm wearing blue, I'm gonna match with a blue. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use this brush here, which is an eyeshadow brush that's nice and fluffy that we have online on BésameCosmetics.com. And I'm going to use this to use the color Baba Blue for my lid, which is the shimmery, frosty, as Gabriela called it, light blue color. And I'm going to use that all over the lid. So I'm going to start with that.
When
And
I
I'm
see
wearing them too. I'm wearing them too.
oh yeah, it's I noticed it matches your
Yeah.
shirt. When
Yeah. So I wear the same ones from the same palette, because that palette does have 60s colors, because the palette is Lucy's palette, but it's Lucy from the late 50s and Lucy from the 60s. So it has both shades in there.
it's so oh,
We match. We don't just match our outfits, but we match each other.
Yeah, we match each other.
but it really does just like evoke that Jackie, almost like
Yes.
when after her husband passed, and in her second marriage with Aristotle, with Onassis, I just like immediately
Yes.
think of that very frosted, very big eyeshadow kind of like going all the way out there.
Yeah, it was a common practice. I mean, obviously later on, and we started to pull that down and have more subdued shades on the top of the lid, and then pull the color down more towards the lid itself. But in this period, they actually just went all out
All
and
the way
put
up.
color
I just
and
went
put
all
color.
out right now.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Hey, there you go.
I've got my frosty blue all the
There you
way,
go.
all the way up. And then I think
That's
I'm
great.
going to go in with the color called Salesman Blue in this palette, which is like a navy blue. And I'm going to use it very, very lightly using the brush that it actually comes with the palette, because it's a nice detail brush and a bit of an angle brush. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in my crease just for a little bit of definition. If this were later in the 60s, you got more of that like cut crease look, which had a really defined line in the crease of the eye, which you could do by just really taking a color like this and just laying it on thick. But where we are being the astronaut's wife, we are evoking Jackie vibes, and it's Texas in 62. So we're not going to do a cut crease, but we're going to just use this to just add a little bit more dimension to the eye. So we're going nice and light with this, which is hard because it's a pretty pigmented dark blue color. So I've got to be really gentle with this to make sure I don't go overboard here.
Those cut creases and like really kind of more bolder styles were also in fashion, but they were more trendy, for like younger people to wear, and more fashion forward people. But it wouldn't have been like the housewives that did that particular kind of very mod look, even though it was also being used at the time, but probably by a different set of people, not necessarily these ladies.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do love a cut crease. It's so cute.
Yeah, no, it looked really cool, and especially that with geometric shapes of hairstyles and things. It was with bob hair and very geometric cut bangs and things. It looked really cool, and it was very much space age inspired as well, because it was
True.
a lot of metallics, a lot of white and black.
Yeah, that kind of
Silver.
glossy that was that very space agey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It definitely was a lot of. It was still inspired by space. It just was a little bit more, like I said, fashion forward, and probably younger people adopted that style more than your like housewife would have. But it was still very popular as well.
Sure. So, okay, my eyeshadow is done. We're not quite done with the eyes yet, but let me just catch you up in case you're just joining us. I used the light frosty blue all over my eyelids, and then I went back in with a finer brush with a dark navy blue color, as light as can be, and I just went into the crease of the eye, which, if you're not sure where that is, feel your brow bone, and then right underneath it, just in your natural socket, is exactly where that's going to go. And you don't want to go too far in toward the eye. You want to start maybe halfway, and then just take it out to the corner here, making like a little triangle shape, and then back down to meet your lash line. So that's kind of the shape that I did. It's very subtle, but what it did was it just gave my eyes a little more dimension and kind of set my crease back instead of just all being flat, if that makes sense. So it just helped do that. And that's it. I'm only going to use 2 shadow colors on my eyes today. Super simple with the shadow. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to be doing eyeliner. So correct me if I'm wrong, Gabriela or Bea. I know Bea, you've got a lot of knowledge of fashion from the 60s as well, which I would love to get more of your take on that and some of your favorite things. But anyway, the next step I'm going to do with eyeliner is I'm going to be using Black Cake mascara. So I showed you the brown earlier that I use for freckles. We also have it in black, and it's the perfect product for doing liner and for using it as, of course, mascara on your lashes. So I'm going to be using it for both. Now, my liner in the 60s was getting a little more dramatic than it was in the 50s, and 50s was more dramatic than 40s. So we're just getting a little bigger and a little bigger as it goes on. And I'm going to be adding just a small wing on the outside. But you can follow that natural lash line and get it a little thicker toward the end and just add a little bit of a wing to really help your eyelashes look even heavier and more, I don't know, sexy, I guess. The word is sexy.
Yeah,
And we're
yeah,
talking about romance novels. We can be sexy, of
We
course.
encourage that here.
We encourage
yeah,
that.
definitely.
So let's do it. Let's give ourselves some sexy eyes.
Yeah, in the 60s, definitely eyeliner was thicker than it had been before, and the liners that were really popular were the liquids. So a lot of people drawing in the lines with liquid liner that was really dark black liner, and they would draw in the shapes. Uh, and if they wanted more geometric shapes, they would draw them in with these liquid liners. So the Kick mascara kind of acts like a liquid liner, so it would give you the same effect. So what do you think, Bea, of the other wives in the novel?
I think they're kind of a mixed bag. Some of them more welcoming to Anne Marie than others, which I think is probably pretty close to reality, as some women were more guarded and others were more welcoming to newcomers at that time. But I think that what they really show is that the wives were as involved with the men's careers as the men were. And everything they were doing at home was adding to this thing the men were doing out of the home. And then they also, in this interesting way, got to go out of the home and be photographed and be seen, supporting their husbands publicly. And I just think it's a really interesting bunch of women to get to spend some time with, because they're in this very rarefied world. It's so specific, being around that kind of advancement in technology and all that money and power and excitement. And then also still being a woman in the 60s who has to kind of follow gender rules, and keep the house and have these fabulous dinner parties and do all this stuff, that for normal women might not have gotten appreciated, but for the astronaut wives, they were appreciated for it. People said, thank you for your sacrifice for sending your husband to space, and thank you for showing us how to make this perfect dinner party. I think they had this very interesting celebrity.
They did, yeah. It's very obvious that they did that, because they were very aware that they were being watched all the time, and that they had to be, a certain way all the time. They had to be kind of in control all the time, and look, like everything was great, even if it wasn't great, because they couldn't really tell the public exactly what was going on, but they knew, because they had access to calling and finding out what was going on with their husbands and their missions and this and that. So they knew a lot of things that they couldn't tell the public. So it was very interesting how they had to deal with all of this, because it would have been a lot of pressure, to always be perfect and always be in the limelight like this. It's probably very hard.
And then I think what's another interesting facet, which this book doesn't talk as much about, but we've seen in other books that have come out recently, like Hidden Figures. There were women working in the NASA space program itself, not just astronaut wives, but scientists who were making huge advancements in the technological field. And then, maybe coming up against a lot of, if they were Black, racism, and also misogyny, and a lot of difficulties in an already difficult job.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it was a difficult time for women in general, especially somebody like Anne Marie that was divorced, because even other women would find that they somehow were lacking, and that's why their husband left them, or they always assumed it was a woman's fault, no
Right.
matter
I
what happened,
Oh, man.
which was really quite hard, because there really wasn't any justification for a woman to actually leave the home, that other people wouldn't consider, you know, not enough to give up their home for. So it was very, very difficult, I think,
I think
for
especially
women.
there was this expectation that you expect if you were married to an astronaut,
Yeah.
you would put up with whatever treatment you were receiving at home.
Oh, sure.
Partly because
Yes.
you were living in this privileged place, but also because a lot of these women didn't want to damage the career of their husbands by saying how they were being
Right.
treated. And then you also have, just as kind of like the moral leader of the country, JFK was notoriously unfaithful to
Yes.
his wife. Not that that was as publicly discussed as it is now, but the idea of fidelity was
Yeah, it was very loose actually when it came to men. Yeah, that's for sure. Because even astronauts, I think, were very liberal in this, in a lot of them, because women really, again, there was like a hero worship thing with these guys. So women were like really throwing themselves at these men all the time. So they, I guess, certain situations they didn't say necessarily no.
Sure.
So there was a lot of that, and I think the women unfortunately had to look the other way, because you just wouldn't leave an astronaut. It's not a thing that you would have done at that time, because yeah, it's very damaging to his career, but also for the public opinion of the whole space program,
right.
which is something else that they had to guard, actually, is the public opinion of the whole program.
Wow.
um,
So much expected of these women,
yes,
and it
a
on
lot.
the one hand, for a little bit of celebrity, right, as we've discussed, and they
Hmm.
live these glamorous lives, and they looked glamorous, and they looked like they had it all together, and
Hmm.
yet there was so much expected of them, so much responsibility that
Hmm.
I feel like they shouldn't have even been required to do all of these things and feel the weight of all of this on them, and be
Hmm.
looked at in such a way by the nation. But here we are, right? That's
I think this
the
Yeah.
truth of
program
it.
was this moment of like hope, but also it was very
Hmm.
scary for the average
Yeah.
person. And so they looked to the astronauts'
Hmm.
wives to be steady and calm and believe
Mhm.
that their husbands were going to come home
Yeah.
Hmm.
as kind of like these figureheads that the rest of America could also look to and say, these wives know that their husbands are going to be safe, so you should also trust in us. And
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, the book is obviously taking some parts as kind of what happened historically speaking, but it's also got a lot of kind of fairy tale parts of it, because obviously it's kind of a fairy tale romance type of thing that happens with her and the main character, and so it's kind of a mix between uh, real and fairy tale, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Well, my eyeliner's done. So
Awesome.
yeah, so as you can tell, as you can tell, I started. You don't want to go thick liner all the way. You want to have it taper a little bit. So it's nice and thin here in the inner corners. And then it follows my natural lash line, going a little bit thicker as I go along. And then the wing comes up and reaches a nice fine point as well. So finest points in either corner, and then the thickness is out here where your lashes also get thicker as well, to kind of help amplify that and give us those sexy 60s eyes that we're looking for. So that was all achieved with Black Cake mascara, a little bit of water, and then a super fine brush. I'll show it to you guys again. The same brush that I had used for freckles. And we do sell this brush, actually. It comes with the Mascara Brush Set Duo. You get 2 brushes. You get this, and you get a spoolie for your mascara. And that is available on our website as well. And so next I'm going to move on to mascara. I'm going to use a spoolie brush. I'm going to use the same Black Cake that I just used for my liner, mix it with a little bit of water, and apply it to the lashes using a technique to get them to look nice and full. And that's going to be just wiggling side to side with the brush. So not necessarily just scooping through it and brushing through it like you'd brush your hair. We're going to be doing, starting at the root of the lash, just doing a little bit of a wiggle motion. So you'll see me doing that while Gabriela and Bea keep discussing what we love about fashion and makeup from the early 60s.
So this look also reminds me of, if you remember the I Dream of Jeannie show, it takes place around the same period of time, early 60s. So it's, if you look at the characters of Jeannie and Major Nelson, they're kind of similar to the characters in this book, except obviously she's not a genie, but as far as the relationship and the idea of astronauts and what they had to do and how they related to women and things, there's some similarities with those two things. And also the makeup, the makeup that you see on that show is also very representative of 60s makeup, and this same kind of heavier shadows, big lashes, and then lips that are softer in pinks and nudes and peaches with shimmers with a sheen to them.
I also always think of Bye Bye Birdie as like such an iconic.
Yeah, that's a great one too.
Yeah.
Jené,
Yeah.
you have a little bit of an Anne Margaret thing going on.
Yes,
Thank you.
yeah.
What a compliment. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yes, yes, yeah. It's not hard to do these looks because they were, again, simpler. They didn't necessarily use as many shadow colors. They just used shadow going all the way onto the top of the eye, but they didn't necessarily use 5 different shades of shadow at a time. They maybe use 1 or 2 shades, and then the liner and a lot of lash in this, and that kind of did the look, so it wasn't as difficult to do these looks as maybe more technically more difficult looks that we've done in the past. So this is, it's kind of an everyday kind of easy look, I think.
Yeah, totally. It's so achievable, and it looks really nice and put together. I'm not even done yet, so this is
Awesome.
really exciting, and I'm taking my time with this too. If you wanted to just breeze through this at home, you
Yeah.
absolutely can. This is not a long process, but we're sitting here chatting, we're having fun, so I'm taking my time with it.
There you go. There
But
you go.
normally this is a pretty quick makeup look to do, and I also feel like this style of makeup is totally coming back in fashion again.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, I think the 60s is such a easy moment for now to kind of adapt. There's so many things that have kind of come around full circle in that trend circle that we always see.
Yeah.
And I definitely think the cat eye is back.
Yeah. Yeah.
We will also start to see that full to the brow eyeshadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of styles that we've seen in the past that are coming back around. Actually, metallics are one of those. Metallic colors are back in. Obviously, nude lips are very much in it as well. So a lot of these styles, I think, and a lot of lashes, heavier false lashes are very popular now, which were very popular in the 60s too. So false lashes, again, is, I think, having a moment as well.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'm not wearing false lashes, but you absolutely can. If your
Yeah.
lashes don't hold a good curl, or you just want to give them that extra little Va Va Voom to give you that really nice Maryland look in your eyes, then a set of false lashes, even just a half set or individuals, would really help achieve that look, especially if you're doing more of an evening look and you really want the drama in your eyes. But yeah, false lashes are definitely authentic and accurate to the period. Women did wear them, and full or half sets. Am I right in saying so?
Yeah. Oh, yes. They were very popular. Um, a lot of women wore the false lashes, so it wouldn't be out of the norm to wear lashes with this look.
Mm-hmm. But I just did my regular lashes for today. And if false lashes aren't your thing, don't worry about it. Just put some mascara on your regular lashes. Put a couple coats if you want to really give them some more drama, like I did. I did 2 coats each side, and here we are. And then I did a little bit on the bottom lashes because that was actually pretty popular in the 60s as well. Later on, when we get more mod and doll like eye looks, they would apply it pretty heavy on the bottom lashes. I just did a little bit just to kind of give them more of an accent, if you will. Okay, so now my eye makeup is done. This is the completed eye look, and we're going to finish the rest of my face now. I think we're off to a good start, though. I'm really liking this look, and I think it totally works. And I'm feeling connected to our main character, Anne Marie. So the next thing I'm going to do, like I said, I already put on foundation and everything like that. So that's already done. But I didn't put on any rouge. So let's do some rouge. I have the Bésame Cream Rouge, which comes in this really cute little tin. And it is a cream-based rouge. Even though powder rouge was also an option in the 60s, you could do either cream or powder. And this color is called Apricot. It's kind of like an orangey red color. It's so cute. And just using my fingertips. You don't need to use a brush. You can just use your fingers and naturally apply it to the apples of your cheeks and move upward toward like the top of your ear. So that's what I'm going to do.
And this type of blush was common. Also, they had powders, but if you were wearing, the pancake makeup, you would have used powder blush. But if you were wearing a stick makeup, a cream makeup, then you probably would have used a cream blush. So that's the reason they were, both types were used, because it really depended on the type of foundation that you use. So you want to kind of put them together. So creams with creams and powders with powders. So that's why, depending on which base you were using, you would pick the cream or the powder
Yeah.
to use
So
for
I
that.
just want to pause really quick. I only put it on one side, but I wanted to show you the difference. That once you put it on, it really just makes your face glow, and it just adds some more brightness. And I love it. I think so often it seems like blush can just be skipped, but I don't think so. I think you need it. I think it looks great, and it brightens up any face immediately. Just small difference, looks really natural, especially in cream form where you can kind of blot it out, and it totally changes the whole look.
And orange was a huge color too in the 60s. There was orange everything. So orange was very, very popular as a color in general for everything, really. Like home decor, and I'm sure you remember carpeting this color,
Yes.
and
Oh my
all
gosh.
kinds of things that were orange. But yeah, even lipsticks, corals in lipsticks were very common during this period too. So orange was definitely a popular shade for both a blush and lip shades.
My house out here in the desert had orange shag carpet. It was built in
Yeah.
1964.
Yes. So yeah, that orange was very definitely a popular shade.
Does it
And
still have the carpet bead? Do you still have orange carpet in there?
Right. No, we got rid of it.
Got rid of the
you got
shag.
rid of it. Oh
This
no,
is
it took
even
that
a
long.
long time ago, and it did not hold up well.
You know, I believe it. That's one thing that can stay in the 60s, shag
Yeah.
carpet, you know.
Shag carpet, yes.
I'm good with shag carpet, but I did. The color was so fabulous, and I wish we could have kept the color.
Yeah.
So.
See,
Yeah,
yeah.
the rusty kind of oranges and that were very, very popular for even, kitchens and, crockery and plates and things for kitchen. A
So
lot of
cute.
that color.
Yeah, the 60s was not afraid of color. We can
No.
definitely
No,
say that. It was everything was
no.
just splashed with color. Your makeup, your
Yes.
clothes, your home decor, your dishes,
Yep.
everything. I love
It's
that.
truly fabulous.
Yeah.
You even matched your clothes to the interior of your car, which some really,
Yeah.
really wealthy heiresses did.
That's so
Yeah.
cute.
I mean, you match everything at that point because if you remember, like Jackie, everything matched, like her purse and her shoes and her hat. The whole thing, was all color coordinated.
Oh my gosh,
And
so
this was the
cute.
thing,
We need
everything.
to
So she
bring
had,
that back.
Well, I think
yeah,
for a while people thought like, oh, that's old. It's like an old lady to match your lipstick and your nail polish. But now I do think it's coming back.
yeah.
And monochrome
Oh,
looks are so high fashion.
definitely,
Totally. So
definitely.
just to update you real quick, what I just did was I used some translucent setting powder just on top to finish it off. I noticed I was getting a little shiny. Now the shine is gone. Super easy, and it's a great thing to put on right after you do your cream rouge, just to help set that. And I used again from our Lucille Ball collection, the Love Lucy collection. It's the Lucy Compact. That is a translucent powder, so that means it has no pigment to it. Anyone can wear it, and it's perfect for setting your makeup. So that's what I just did, just dust it on top. And now it's time for the last step, which is the lipstick. Arguably the most important step. Um, we love a good lipstick here at Bésame, of course, and we've got tons of different shades from all of the 20th century, which is so exciting. So I already picked out a lipstick, and I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but I'm excited because it is now. I know, Gabriela, you said that pinks were starting to be very popular, and more like nude pink light shades like that, which we do know is true of the 60s. But also, is it not true that, especially in places like the South, like Texas, that a housewife would still cling on to her red lipstick of the 50s? Isn't that true?
Yes, oh, definitely. Remember, they weren't that afraid of color, so they would have totally put a blue shadow and put a red lipstick on, not a problem. So yeah, yeah, lipstick still, red lipstick still was very popular. It really depended on the look that people were going after. But for a glamour look, definitely, people still wore red.
Good, because I chose a red lipstick for this look. I was thinking, what
Okay.
would be a great lipstick to really evoke the romance and, the romance and the sex appeal of this book, and
Yeah.
something that is really confident forward for our makeup look. And I chose the color Red Hot Red, which is from 1959. It's a true replica of a color from 1959. And Gabriela, tell us more about this, because I think this is going to tie in really nicely.
Yeah, so it's funny that you picked Marilyn Monroe's color
It's
because
Marilyn Monroe's.
that's Marilyn Monroe's color. So that's very funny that you happen to pick that one out because of course she was famously involved with the Kennedys and of course he started the whole space program. So there's like a lot of connections
There
with
you go.
all of these people, but she was definitely the glam look. So she did wear the reds because that's she was a kind of a starlet that was definitely known for her sex appeal. So she liked the bolder shades. So
I think
so
that's
that would be
for Anne Marie.
the right, yeah. Anne Marie had, definitely has kind of that type of sexy streak. Definitely, she doesn't want to show it because she's afraid to be judged that way, but she does have that kind of a streak in private. So
Well, like it's like Bea said at the beginning of the video, it's her inner Marilyn. So
exactly,
our lipstick is representing our inner Marilyn today. That's what we're
there you
doing.
go. There you go. I did a softer look with it with the blues. I use the same palette, the Lucy's palette, to do my look with the blues and the shadows. But on my lips, I wanted to do more of a subtle kind of rosy red. So I mixed American Beauty with a little bit of Dusty Rose
Oh,
on the
cute.
edges, so that I kind of made it more of a rosy kind of softer pinky red.
That's cute. Yeah.
So you can also do this look by mixing a couple shades together as well at home, and do something in between a red and a rose type color, and you can make it deeper or lighter depending on your preference. But any shade would have been appropriate for this period, for sure. So you can play around with different colors. Even peach color would be appropriate. The What a Peach shade from the Lucy collection is definitely a 60s color. So that color would have probably been a good choice too, with these shadows as well. So the kind of the warm and cool was something that was also popular to do. So still cooler shadows, but with a warmer lip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that there's somebody watching out there who's like, oh, this book sounds great and I haven't even read it yet. Bea, where can they get it? How do they get this book?
Well, you can buy it from my bookstore, the Ripped
There you go.
Bodice.
Yay! Tell us about your bookstore, because you didn't tell us anything about this, and it's such an exciting bookstore.
Sorry,
I live in it.
by the makeup, and I got yes, my sister and I own the Ripped Bodice. It is one of the only 2 romance-only bookstores in the country. We're located in Culver City, which is right next to Los Angeles. We're our own little town in the middle of it, and we're right on Main Street, shortest Main Street in America.
Great. How long have you been there?
We've been there 4 years now, and we sell romance novels, but also women's fiction, nonfiction, and really any romantic type literature that your heart could desire. We have sexual health books, we have love poetry, we have something for everyone.
Wow,
that's so cool.
Is it open now? Is your store open now?
We are open now. We have some new guidelines in place, and I just recommend that you double check our website before you head over to make sure you're up to date on what's going on public health wise. But yes, we are open for masked browsing, and we also have an online store, rippedbodicela.com. You can order, and we will ship it to you literally anywhere in the world.
There you go. So no matter where you are, whether you can go into the store or not, you can shop rippedbodicela.com, and you can get Stardust or any other awesome book for you, for a friend, for anybody, and get it shipped to you, which would be fabulous. And then you're supporting an amazing small business run by 2 women, sisters even, which is fantastic. So what's not to love? That's great. And then you get a great book, and now you have a great makeup look to go along with that great book. So
I would recommend wearing the makeup look while reading. I think that'll really enhance.
Totally.
Well, definitely you get into the character, and this is one of the books that you guys recommended, but you had a whole list of books that I went through and read all of them because I had to. But they're all awesome, and I recommend all of them. Actually, they were all really interesting and so entertaining to read. So if you look down the list that we had for voting for this look that actually won, but all the other books that were on the list for your votes, check out those titles because they're really, really great, and they deserve a read, definitely. So try them out.
Yeah, I think in this moment where everything is a little bit more difficult, it's nice to put on some lipstick. It's nice to read a romance novel. Nice to do something for yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely. And you can shop any of this makeup if you wanted any of these pieces you saw today. We've got the links in the bio through BésameCosmetics.com. You can also go visit our store. We are also reopened with guidelines. There are no testers at the moment, but if you wear a mask and you come in, we've got fantastic service, and we can help match colors for you anyway, even with the mask on, which is wonderful. And our store is in Burbank, California. And so, yes, so take a look at the links in the bio. Also, you can follow Bésame on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, you name it. We're everywhere. Just look for Bésame Cosmetics. And is Ripped Bodice also on all social media? Can we find you? Is it easy?
We're everywhere. You can
Everywhere.
follow us everywhere. We're the Ripped Bodice. And posting all kinds of recommended reads to make your day a little brighter.
Love that. That's awesome.
And then you also host parties, like in the past you've had events and things. So hopefully when things are a little bit more normalized, you will have events again. But that would be great to go into your store and go to your events.
We'll be able to have a crowd in the store one day soon, and we'll have you all in.
That would be great. That would be so much fun.
Be awesome. I live in there, actually. I love romance books, so I would be browsing all day long in that store.
Awesome. Well, we've got a tea shop too, so you can come, you can browse.
Oh, you have a tea shop? No, both things that I love. Actually, the romance books and the tea. Both things. Oh boy, I never leave them. Oh,
that's
my goodness.
Great.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been Book and Look. And
yes,
this
so much for having me. This was so much fun.
So awesome. Thank you, Bea. It was great to chat with you, and we can't wait to do this again. This was a blast. Yeah, and thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Thanks for sticking around and learning about a book and a makeup look today. And we hope you have a great evening and a great rest of your week wherever you are. Stay safe, have fun, do some beautiful makeup, and have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Bea. Thank you.
Bye.